Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. I wanted to talk about a land we now call Romania. Back at the end of the Roman Empire, it was known as the province of Dacia. It was the last conquest of the Romans. And in the medieval period, it became known as the kingdoms of Transylvania and Wallachia. And for a while, it was a vassal of the Ottoman Empire until a king of theirs by the name of Vlad Tepes basically revolted and kicked out the Ottoman tax collectors, kicked them out with spikes through their heads. I mean, the tale was that they came into his presence and he says, "You should take off your hats." And he says, "Oh, great sir, we don't take off our hats in the Turkish culture." He says, "Well, if you're going to leave your hats on, then we'll make sure that they stay there." So he nailed their turbans to their heads. Vlad was not exactly messing around. Well, anyway, and that goes up until the almost modern period, when from about the 1860s or so on, the one branch of the Hohenzollern family, which is, they'd been the electors of and the emperors of and all of this, of the Austrian throne and areas of Germany. It was like the Habsburgs and the Hohenzollerns were the ones who ran things. But anyway, another branch of them ended up in control of Romania. And they had kings up through the 19th century until, well, the last two. The last but one was a fellow by the name of King Carol. Carol was a bit of a player. He had a girlfriend he married who was unacceptable to the royals, so they kicked him out. He abdicated and moved to Switzerland. And his son, who was 5 years old, became the reigning monarch, and his name was Michael. Well, I forget exactly what the story was, but Carol was a little mad at what was going on in Romania, and he had divorced that woman and had ended up marrying a princess, I forget again, and I don't know exactly, but anyway, he went back and took over and put Michael back in as crown prince. Well, then, I think in 1940 or so, no, actually, it was in 1920. Well, it was 1927 when Michael started as king at 5, and then it was the 1930s or 40s, early 40s, when Carol came back, and Michael was relegated back to crown prince. And at that point, Carol, well, he got kind of weird again. I think he abdicated again, and then Michael took over, and he was king until the fall of Nazi Germany and the rise of the USSR. And then Nikita Khrushchev said, "Get the hell out of here. You have 48 hours to grab all the wealth you can, and you can then leave wherever you want to go." And he went back to Switzerland and took a bunch of gold and rubies and jewels and a bunch of paintings, which were a bit of controversy later. And he stayed there under the reign of Ceausescu and until the revolution. And then their first president after the revolution really were kind of paranoid of him, and he came back once. See, he had his citizenship revoked in Romania, and he came back and was immediately arrested and deported. Well, then that president was lost an election, and another guy came in, and he basically reinstituted Michael's citizenship and said, "Oh, come on if you like." And Michael came over for a visit on Easter Sunday, and he was staying at a hotel, and he went and made a speech at the window of the hotel in Bucharest, and he spoke to over 1 million people gathered below. Freaked the government out, and they carefully asked him could you go back home to Switzerland or whatever? Anyway, Michael kept trying to take back over Romania, saying that his original abdication was forced, and he disavowed it. Well, back to his dad, Carol. When Carol was king, he bought a bunch of these. This is a Czech VZ-24 in 8mm Mauser, and it's a one of the most beautiful little carbines I've ever owned. And the thing about a King Carol carbine is they usually have double swing swivels on it so that they can more easily be used by various troops. It's a little bit, well, it's got a regular rifle sight on it, and it is graduated, so you could shoot out to about what? Gosh, I don't have a glass. There's glasses, let's see. 2,000 yards, or meters. I don't know if it's yards or meters, but 2,000 of them. And I fired this thing, and it shoots well, loud, but it shoots well, and it's a neat little carbine. Well, I was curious about this. I was cleaning it off because I got this. I got a bayonet, and I went, well, golly gee, that's supposed to fit a VZ-24. Well, I've got a VZ-24 rifle, and I've got this carbine, and it will take a bayonet. So I tried it, and it gets stuck on both the rifle and the carbine. So that made me curious, and so I looked at the serial number. There was a serial number on both the scabbard and on the bayonet. They matched, and I looked them up, and it turns out that it was a company from Solingen, so that means it's German-made. It dates from 1944, and therefore it's for a K98K. Well, I've got a K98K, so it's sitting over there on the K98K now. So there. I didn't know I had one. Well, I got one. I bought it thinking it was a VZ-24 magazine, but it wasn't. It's a K98K magazine. But anyway, the Czechs made these carbines. I don't know if I think I've told the tale before, but after World War I, the Versailles Commission on Disarmament of the Germans determined that all of the tooling and stuff that the Mauser Works had to be sold, had to be out of the country. You're not allowed to have them anymore. So Mauser was looking around for a buyer, and the armory in Brno, Czechoslovakia, said, we'll buy them. And they bought up all of the tooling and shipped it off to Brno and started making rifles and carbines and selling them all over Europe and South America. And I was just, this came to mind because I was just watching Odysee doing a thing about the Yugoslavian version of this. They ended up buying an FN or G98 or a K98. I don't know exactly what it was, but it's a Mauser. See, Mauser sold tooling to everybody. They sold them to FN. They sold them to the Czechs. I think they set up a factory in Yugoslavia. I think they set up another factory in Argentina for some of the Argentine South American ones. But the Czech ones in particular, I think they're just sweet as all get out. I like it. If this had a full King Carol crest on it, it would be worth a heck of a lot more. But this one's kind of faded and only about a quarter of it still remains. But it's enough to tell that it is a King Carol. Carol was not a very good king, but at least he had taste in rifles for his troops. And this is what he bought for them. And I guess they liked it. I don't know. Anyway, that's about all I got to say. Happy trails.